Is the S&P 500 a good investment? I'm Sam with Money Bros, and in today's video, we'll answer exactly that. But first, we need to understand what exactly the S&P 500 is. The S&P 500 is a stock market index that tracks 500 of the largest publicly traded companies in the US. Before doing all this research, I was confused by the whole stock market index. I was like, what does an index mean? But after looking at the definition, it became a lot clearer. An index is just a list, usually organized in some specific way. So ultimately, it's a stock market list of the 500 largest publicly traded companies in the US. So I hope that makes it a little bit clearer for you. So how does a company make it onto the S&P 500? There are a few different specifications companies must hit to be even considered. 1, it must be publicly traded on the US stock exchange. 2, it must be in or near the top 500 companies in terms of value. 3, it must have 4 quarters of growth in a row. 4, it needs to meet their diversification needs. For example, there are a ton of different technology companies inside the S&P 500, such as Apple, Netflix, Amazon. So it might be hard for another technology company to be registered. On the other hand, it might be easier for a big window installing company to become registered, assuming they get hit all the other qualifications, because I don't think there's a big window installing company in there already. And then 5, they want a low market impact. They don't want to cause any kind of market disruptions. After finding that out, I wondered who votes, who gets to decide the course of the S&P 500. And I found out that it's S&P Dow Jones indices. This is pretty much a council of people that vote on the qualifications of a company that to get added. When a company gets added, it can impact their stock value. For example, the circle on screen is the day before Tesla was voted to get added to the S&P 500. This photo is just a little under 2 months after it got added. So you can see that there's potential that getting added to the S&P 500 helped their stock go up. Now let's talk about the pros of investing inside the S&P 500. Number 1, first up, diversification. Have you ever heard the saying, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer? Well, in this case, that's a good thing. As the richest companies in the US get bigger and bigger, so does our investments. The more we can funnel into the S&P 500 index funds that we open up, the more our money can be used by these companies to expand their wealth and kind of building their foundations even stronger and opening up new avenues for income for them. It's good in an investment portfolio. Many people are invested inside the S&P 500 because the top 500 companies in the US are generally very well performing. Let's take a look at its historical performance. Here, the first 10 years since its inception, you can see it was kind of a slow burn at the beginning. Over time, it went up and up and up. There have been dips and lulls, but overall, it's been a good investment for millions of people. So historically, it has gone up since it began. Of course, there is nothing guaranteed. We can't see the future, can only use the past as a reference point. And then there's liquidity. It's super easy to get in the S&P 500 and get out. All you have to do is open an online brokerage account through any number of different services online, and then you load it with money, and all of a sudden it's connected to the S&P 500. There are very low fees. Index funds are just automatically invested in the top 500 companies of the US. There's no work that any individual really has to do to make sure your money gets invested in the right place. The flip side are mutual funds. Mutual funds are up to generally a team or a single person to buy and sell stocks as they go up and down. These can lead to higher returns, but are also involved with more risk and higher fees because you're paying a team or a person to personally manage your money. But of course, there are no investment strategy perfect. There is market volatility. The stock market does go up and down. There are many different factors to this, but overall, you're betting on the survival of the US as a country, so it's pretty safe. It might not match up with your individual goals. The stock market, at least in terms of the S&P 500, is a long-term investment style. Now, you do run the risk of putting all of your eggs in one basket, so it's important to diversify your portfolio and make sure you don't put everything you have into this fund. Now, let's kind of look at it from a different angle. There are active and passive ways to invest. The S&P 500 is an example of passive because no one's managing or messing with your money. It's just locked into the top 500 companies as they go up and down, so will your money. Mutual funds, on the other hand, are an example of active because someone actively has to make the decision of where they put your money. Of course, this comes with a lot of research and responsibility, comes with extra fees as well. Oftentimes, the stock managers will benchmark themselves off the S&P 500 to try to get better results. Now let's look how to invest in the S&P 500. The most common ways are index funds. Index funds, there are many popular options, so it's best to look through them and find what looks best for you. So overall, the S&P 500 is a very good long-term investment strategy. It's a very good thing to have in your portfolio, but it's important not to rely on it completely and be 100% dependent on that. I personally will eventually open an S&P 500 fund once I am able to, but there are different kinds of index funds available to you that follow a different set of rules, so make sure you look into those too. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this information useful and you'd like to support us, our Patreon is linked in the description below. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe and share it around.